So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys what I do on a paycheck to paycheck basis. Now, this video is going to be completely different from what I regularly do, which is go over specific credit cards and credit card strategies. But one of my friends ended up coming up to me and telling me, how do I manage my money or what systems I have in play to where I know I'll be good, especially when I'm doing my investments, my savings, and just paying off bills. Now, this video is going to be breaking down into two sections. The first section is going to be basically how I came up with the idea or the methods I actually use. And then two, I'm going to show you guys a graph of how I actually break down all my finances, and I will be adding more examples in it just in case if you guys want more of a visual representation of like how it can look possibly for you. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Andy. I'm a senior programmer analyst that loves to talk about personal finances, and here in this channel we like to talk about credit cards, budgeting, and financial tools and possibly help you guys out. But enough of that, let's go get started with the video. So how did I come up with the method that I followed to today? Well, to tell you the truth, I did not make up this method. This method actually came from a book called I'll Teach You How to Be Rich. And I came across this book because one of my buddies recommended me this YouTuber, and his name was Ramit. And I ended up watching one of his videos and actually broke down what he does on a paycheck to paycheck basis. So I ended up getting the book and read into it to see what was different from what I was doing. And it really opened my eyes because I never thought money in a different aspect. And so I never thought about investing. I was never taught how to invest. I never learned about credit cards, and then not even think about even savings or like what they call an emergencies fund. So that's something I've never had throughout my entire life until like the past couple of years that I came across this book. Now within that book, there is going to be a rule called the 50-30-20 rule. The 50-30-20 rule states that 50% of your income should go to like your fundamental spend, which is basically things you need to in order to survive. And then the 30% is going to be all the ones. So that's like your guilt-free spending. And then the last percent, which is going to be the 20%, should go into savings. Now, for that specific method, I feel like it's kind of out of date. And so for me, my expenses for my fundamental expenses were a lot higher. So I ended up coming across another YouTuber named Naisha. And Naisha ended up breaking down the numbers in 65, 20, 15. So it will be 65 for fundamental, 20% for guilt-free spending, and then the 15% for investing. Now, if you're interested in like actually looking into the YouTube channels, I will link them in the description box below because I feel like their content is very informational based off like changing your thoughts of how you look at money. And I think they're great resources. Now, obviously they're not financial advisors and you have to like look into what you actually do on your day-to-day spend. But if you need a good starting point, them two I highly recommend to actually go ahead and watch. Now, to go ahead and give you guys a visual representation of how this is going to look, a lot of people tend to do is actually move their income and actually branch out another box stating that it's going to be for their 401k. Now, you may notice in my graph that I don't have that specifically, and that's because within my current line of work, I fall under a different retirement plan. So that is the reason why I don't have a 401k. So in case if you guys are wondering, where's my 401k? That is the reason why. But for the terms of this video, we're just going to go ahead and leave it without. So once I make my income, it's going to go into my checking account. Within my checking account, this is where I have a lot of the automated processes happening. So anytime my bank account receives a paycheck, it automatically is going to be distributing a specific percentage amount to each bank account. Now, depending on what your bank is, it may differ because some of them do have these kind of features. And if you don't, you should have options to where you can automate some certain like actual transactions to where you can schedule a withdrawal on specific dates. And what I would probably do if you only have that option is probably do it 2 days after you get paid. So that way you know for a fact you have that actual money in your checking account and you don't have to worry about it of actually doing it manually. But if your person wants to do it manually, I feel like that's going to be kind of wasting your time. But if you're into that kind of thing, that's completely up to you. But for me, I like to have things automated to where I have to think about it. Now, hopping over to the investment part, the investment, I put at least 10% of my income into this specific category, and that's going to go into my Vanguard Roth IRA. Now, I'm not going to go too far in depth of what the Roth IRA is, but just to give you guys a quick glimpse is basically you put your after-tax money into this specific account and then you invest your money, and then when you get ready for retirement, you're going to get that money out without having any tax implications on what you made. So this is a really good account to have, but depending on your income, and then if you do have to follow the specific rules that they have, so if you want to do a little bit more research, definitely just go ahead and look into that because I think it's a great account to have. Now, what my money is actually invested in is called a target date fund. The reason why I'm doing a target date fund is because I'm a person that wants to set it and forget it. Usually with people that do other like index funds, let's say if it's the S&P 500, you're going to have to slowly allocate your money and diversify it as you get older. The thing that I like about target date funds is basically it goes off my age. So as I get older, it becomes less risk over time. And that allows me to not have to worry about buying, like switching my money from high risk to like bonds and treasuries, just things along those natures. So I want it to be done automatically. Now, yes, it is going to be a little bit of higher in expense, but the percentage is actually really low. But if you want to have an index fund that follows the S&P 500, then you can go ahead and do that fund too. So there's just many ways to think about it. Like I said, I'm a person that likes to just set it and forget it and not really have to worry about diversifying later in the future. So going over to the credit cards and bills of this graph, usually these two I kind of tend to put them together because they are going to be kind of considered like all my expenses. Now, with the credit cards, and basically why I made this YouTube channel is because obviously I like to maximize on every single dollar. And with credit cards, you get rewarded when using them. And just for the sake of this video, we are going to be using a flat 2% card. That way it keeps things simple. And so that way you guys can understand what I mean by this. So anytime I pay any bills or if I use any of my guilt-free spending, it's going to be on this specific credit card. Now, the reason why I want to add it to this specific credit card is because you're going to get rewarded 2% cash back on all the expenses that you make on this card. Now with those rewards, you can redeem them back within your savings account or into your checking account, or you can consider it as a rollover money so you have more money to spend for the following month. Now, if you're a person that really can't be disciplined on how much money you're spending on a credit card, then maybe this part of the graph won't be fitting you. I would probably say just stick with a debit card so that way you're not tempted to spend that additional money and putting yourself in debt, because a lot of people tend to go over their head to where they think they have that money when that money really isn't theirs. Now, if I'm using credit cards to pay bills, why do I have another part of the graph for bills? Because usually with bills, some of them do not allow you to actually make expenses, or if they do, they're going to be charging you a credit card fee. And so when you come into that kind of situation, I would recommend to just go ahead and pay it with your regular checking account. For example, I know a lot of people in my area that live in a different city, they are actually going to be charged a fee for paying the water bill with a credit card. And for the city that I live in, they actually allow me to pay with a credit card with a no transaction fee when using a credit card. So definitely look into the fine print to see of whether or not you're going to be charged a fee when using a credit card. But usually like with mortgages or like car loans, they're going to be requiring you to actually move money from a checking account to pay it off. Now under the savings part of the graph, I put 5% here. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to be adding more buckets so you guys can understand how this is going to work. So let's say within your savings account, you have an emergency, a vacation, and a car fund that you actually want to start contributing to. So how I would break this down, let's say if I want to put 2% into emergency, 2% into vacation, and then 1% into the car. You can definitely do this. Obviously, it's going to feel like it's not enough. But believe me, once you get every paycheck, it starts to add up. And this is the thing that I tend to fall under, that when I was seeing those small increment amount, I felt like it's going to take forever. But believe me, once you have these things automated, you start seeing those funds like go up. And when you log into your bank account, you're like, holy crap, like I ended up getting like a lot more than I expected. And believe me, time flies by. So I remember when I first started with my emergency fund, I only had like 1,000 in there and my goal was to have like 6 months. And I'm like, man, this is going to take forever. And once I told myself, you know what, just set it, forget it, automate it, you don't have to worry about it. That time came super quick to where I looked at my bank account. I'm like, holy crap, I made the actual amount that I set myself up to. Now to use that for example, let's say you do max out your emergency fund. Then you can start allocating to put more money into the other buckets. So once we completed the emergency fund, I would then probably move a 3% into vacation and then 2% into car. So you're going to be depositing a little bit more money into those specific funds, and obviously it's going to be happening a lot faster. Now with savings accounts, I do highly recommend everyone to get a high yield savings account. And the reason being is because you can actually get passive income on the interest that they're going to be paying you. So for example, with a high yield savings account, and the one I currently have is going to be the Capital One 360 savings account, and they're paying me 3.4% APY. So with the money that I have with them, I'm getting around $40 to $50 a month just having my money with them. So if you don't have an account like that, that is completely optional if you don't want to worry about moving all your money. But just know like big banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they're only paying 0.01%. So you're really not going to be getting anything within those specific banks. Now, Capital One isn't the only one that does this. The other two that are really high in the game is going to be either Ally or SoFi. Now, if I were to start all over again, I'll probably go more towards Ally. And the reason why I say Ally rather than SoFi is because with SoFi is going to be requiring you to have direct deposit in order to have the high interest. The moment you don't do direct deposit, your interest rate is going to drop dramatically. So if you don't want to have that worry of not having a direct deposit, then Ally will probably be the better bet because you automatically gain that interest without direct deposit. Now, although I'm a big fan of Capital One, I think that the fact that within Capital One, you had to open up an entire new savings account, which is going to require you to have a new account number, and it's just a lot more boxes you have to worry about. And with Ally, it actually opens up virtual buckets, and that's a really cool feature to have because the moment you don't need a specific fund or bucket, you can close it out and move that money to another like virtual bucket, but it's all in one savings account. So that is a cool feature that you can do with Ally, and that's also something you can do with SoFi. And within SoFi, they're called vaults. So you can pick and choose, and if you want more features, more like cooler things, because I know with SoFi, if you can link like different credit cards, you can link your bank accounts, and it tells you like your net worth and so on and so forth. If you value those kind of things, then yeah, SoFi would probably be the better bet. But if you want something for simplicity, I think Ally probably beats it, because it's just a straight bank account at the end of the day, and you don't have to worry about all these other features and like the investments and things like that. So if you want to have an all one-stop shop, yes, SoFi will probably beat it at that point. So after breaking down the graph and showing you guys what I do on a paycheck to paycheck basis, I want to know in the comment section below if you guys enjoy this kind of content. Now, I know this is completely different from what I usually do, which is go over credit cards and different credit card strategies, but I want to test the waters to see whether or not you guys would enjoy it. Especially right now, I'm currently on the journey of paying off my mortgage within 2 years. So if you guys want to see that kind of content and show you guys the numbers of what I'm doing to make that happen, I'm more than willing to share that with you guys, because I think that's pretty cool to document it. And if you plan on paying off your house early and you can rearrange the numbers, like it's pretty cool what you can do when you have your mind set to it. So again, let me know in the comments if you want to see that kind of content, or if you want me to show you guys the numbers of how I'm doing my mortgage to where I can pay it off in 2 years. Just let me know and I'll gladly like record it and explain to you guys what I'm doing. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this video at that. And as always, let's try to keep things simple, and I'll see you in the next one.